It's Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right down below. It's free. There's no obligation. So please hit that, and please keep sharing these videos all over your social media, and keep the comments coming. The comments have been absolutely incredible. Now, I want to share some of these articles today that I printed up. Love to get your opinion on this. Most of you have already heard that May retail sales rose just 0.1%, weaker than expected. This on CNBC today. Also, the April numbers were revised down, and so now we're hearing about all this talk about, oh, we got to have a rate cut. Rate cuts are coming now. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But ask yourself, if we get one rate cut this year, two, I would be surprised if we got more than one. I'd be surprised, honestly, if we even got a rate cut this year. But do you think a 25 basis point rate cut is going to do anything for the American people, the average American, the average worker, the middle class, the poor? Is a 25 basis point rate cut going to do anything? How about two 25 basis point rate cuts? Is it going to do anything? This stuff has a delayed reaction anyways, 12 to 18 months. Get ready, because we're going to now begin to see major job losses. We're going to see, I believe, an avalanche of job losses here in America. And probably after November, we're going to start getting the real job loss numbers, the real employment numbers, maybe the real inflation numbers, who knows? But things are beginning to crack. You know it, and I know it. And I mean, you can look at the retail sales, the May retail sales. Think about this. People are using credit cards. They're spending more, they're getting less. And yet sales only rose 0.1%. Not good. It says here in the article, gas stations and food services and drinking places. This is where spending saw the biggest downside. So people can tell me every day that the restaurants are full. I've been to a couple. They seem to be doing okay. I've been to a couple that weren't doing too good. And I drive by restaurants every day in my area. This is a leisure and hospitality hotspot. This is a tourist destination, an international destination. We have a lot of bars and a lot of restaurants, and a lot of them are very empty. Many have shut down, but many right now are very quiet. King World News, Egan von Grier's, all hell is about to break loose in the world financial system. Is he right? I think he's 100% right. It's starting to break right now. It says in the article, how do you go bankrupt? Question. The dominoes fall gradually, then suddenly. Some of the dominoes that the world sees falling are political, geopolitical, deflationary implosion of assets, debts, etc. The consequences will be unthinkable. Social unrest, war, hyperinflation, deflationary implosion of assets, list goes on. This will lead to a revaluation of gold. Increased demand means the price of gold will go up. And these people who continue to say you can't eat gold or you can't buy food with gold, gold is extremely liquid, silver extremely liquid. You can take this to many different places. You can go to a metals refinery, a precious metals refinery. You could go to a farmer, but a refinery or a precious metal dealer is going to give you whatever currency, whatever country you're living in. You could take that currency and go buy food. A farmer would probably, without a doubt, many of the farmers that I read in the comments said no doubt they will take silver and gold for meat, vegetables, and fruit. This has happened for 5,000 years. I mean, gold and silver have been here for over 5,000 years. It's gone through 2 world wars. It's gone through depressions, economic collapses, currency collapses, you name it, it's gone through it. And time again, if you read history, you can go to Venezuela, you could go to multiple places, Zimbabwe, and you could see that people were using gold and silver to survive at the worst of times, and they're doing it presently. So these two metals are extremely liquid. And why are the central banks stockpiling this stuff as I speak right now. And the next question is, would you rather be holding dollars or would you rather be holding gold and silver? That's up to you. I mean, these people that say you can't buy food with gold and silver, what are you going to buy with your dollars if we begin to see hyperinflation in America, or God forbid, a currency collapse? What will you be buying with your dollars then? The only thing that will matter then is real money. That is gold and silver, my opinion. If you need help with that, you can go to my link, SD Bullion. If you need to purchase some gold or silver, go to my link down below, SD Bullion. They'd be more than happy to help you out. That's where I've been buying from for 6.5 years. Or you can buy whatever you buy. You can buy stocks, you can buy bonds, you can keep buying cryptos, buy whatever your heart desires. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing, what my circle of friends are doing, what I see coming, and many of the listeners of this channel see coming because I read the comments and they see big trouble. So do you want to hold monopoly money or do you want to hold God's money? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. Here's another one from King World News. Bubble warning, stock market mania continues to make history. Now in this article, they have an old video back from 1999, 2000. It's an old E-Trade commercial. And it's very funny because it shows this employee sitting at his desk in his cubicle, looking at his stock portfolio or his stocks, and they're shooting straight up. He's watching it right on his computer, and it's just straight up like that. So he's in euphoria. He gets out of his chair, bounces out of his cubicle. He's running around the office of this building, and he's knocking papers off the desk. He's hugging people. He's laughing. He's giddy. He's running around. Then he runs into his boss's office, Mr. Dinky, and says he quits. Goes back to his office, same thing. He's hugging people, kissing people, knocking things off the desk. Goes back to his cubicle, looks at his stocks, and they go straight down. They're going straight down, literally 5 minutes later. He runs back to his boss's office, Mr. Dinky, and he says, I'm not quitting, and then that's the end of the commercial. It's an example of how fast things can go up and how fast things can go down. And we're watching this melt up now. It's historic. We've never seen anything like this. But this is how it always ends. You could go back to, the 2007-8 crisis. You could go back to 1929. Markets were at all-time highs before they collapsed. Everything was great. People were running around, in this kind of behavior, just thinking life's a party, quit their jobs, they're going to just, live off their stocks and gamble in the stock market until they can't. Until reality comes and things go down much quicker than they went up. And then you're praying to God that Mr. Dinky takes you back and then you have a job. The stock market mania is going to end very, very bad, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very bad. And again, as I say daily, do whatever you have to do to keep your job. If you have a decent paying job right now, you're very, very blessed. You may not love it. It may not be your passion, but for right now, I would do whatever you have to do to keep it. Daily Mail, America's largest private bus company covering 500 cities across the U.S. files for bankruptcy. Megabus. This is the alternative to Greyhound, and it is under threat right now as it just filed bankruptcy. Since the launching back in 2006, Megabus has served 50 million Americans. They're owned by Coach USA. They're $200 million in debt. They have 2,700 employees in the U.S. and Canada. They have almost 2,100 buses. They service 38 million passengers per year. And this is bad for numerous reasons. One, we do not want to see an American company file bankruptcy or go out of business. Two, there's a lot of jobs right here with this company that are at risk of being gone forever. 2,700 employees. This company has a lot of debt. Debt's a killer, ladies and gentlemen. But also think about, people who maybe don't have a lot of money. They travel by bus. They can't afford to fly. They travel by bus. So we need these services for people who may be a little bit more on the poor side, not quite middle class. Buses are very, very important in this country because you have a lot of people who just don't have that much money. So again, a lot of job losses could take place here. This would be very, very detrimental to the economy and the amount of the millions of people that that this company services, also very detrimental. So it's a lose-lose for everybody. And just to have another U.S. company in big trouble, not a good sign of the economy. But markets are all up today. They are setting records, and yet companies in the U.S. are filing bankruptcy one after another. Here's another one. Pizza Hut closes 15 locations in Indiana with 120 more at risk. EYM Group, which owns and operates 142 Pizza Hut locations in Illinois, Indiana, Georgia, South Carolina, and Wisconsin, was accused of defaulting on millions of dollars in payment allegedly owed to Pizza Hut. Again, this is going to be bad also. There's a lot of jobs on the line here. I was reading this article and they were just saying, well, maybe they don't have enough on the menu. They're not modernizing the menu. There's competition. Of course, there always has been. Pizza Hut's been around forever. There's always been competition. But I think the real reason is the economy. I think the real reason is not that they're not modernizing their menu. I don't believe it's just the competition. It's always existed. But what's different now is the amount of inflation, the amount of job losses, and just how broke the average American is who doesn't even have $500 saved up. And we see how many people now are food insecure, how many people are skipping meals because they've got to make choices now. Do they pay the electricity bill, or do they do they go to the grocery store? Are they going to get a Pizza Hut? They're probably going to have to go to the grocery store and buy food, not Pizza Hut, because it's just getting too expensive. A frozen pizza at the grocery store now is like $14. Just for, I have no idea what a Pizza Hut pizza costs now, but apparently people are so broke that they can't even order a Pizza Hut pizza. One of the worst pizzas, by the way, in my opinion, coming from Chicago. I don't even know how they survive in the Chicago area, but one of the worst pizzas ever. But people just are too broke to even buy this stuff. A word to the wise: if you own a restaurant, you better treat your patrons like gold, because it is going to be brutal in the next couple years in the restaurant business. This summer has not proven me wrong whatsoever. You look at how many retailers, how many restaurants have already gone bust, done, over, and how many more will be finished off by this fall. If you own a restaurant, you better treat your people like gold. You better make sure that they get the best service, that they're getting good food, that you're doing everything you can to control costs and quality. And you better make sure that the people working for you are treating your patrons like gold. Because if you don't, you are not going to survive this. This economy is so brutal. The restaurant business is so cutthroat, and it's going to get much, much worse. Here's another one. Tupperware shutting down last U.S. plant, moving production to Mexico. They're moving their operations to Mexico. 148 people are done. The layoffs begin in September. How do you feel about that? Tupperware shutting down. I thought like Tupperware back in the day was about as Americana as it comes. And I was unaware that they've already moved out of this country and now moving production to Mexico. This was their last plant in the U.S. So they're moving out of South Carolina and they're moving to Mexico. Unbelievable. Here's another one. Arkansas job openings dip 10% in April. Layoffs in Arkansas up 16.6%. This is on talkbusiness.net. The number of job openings decreased in 13 states. The number of layoffs increased in 3 states. As I said earlier, do not lose your job, ladies and gentlemen. Do not lose your job. It is going to get much, much more difficult to get a job. It's going to get very difficult to get a good paying job. And I would say good paying would be, $60,000, $70,000 a year right now. If you get a job $60,000, $70,000 a year, they're not easy to come by. They're just not easy to come by. I want to finish up with this last one from CNBC. I thought this was really interesting because we have so many people working multiple jobs. And, the few times that I take an Uber or a Lyft, Typically, the last couple times, they were real estate agents that were driving Uber and Lyfts. But this article on CNBC titled, Uber driver made just $80 in 1 week. Uncertainty eats away at you, he says. In his new book, it's called Drive, Scraping by in Ubers one ride at a time. Jonathan Rigsby takes the reader into the driver's seat of ride-sharing work. Very interesting. And so many people are doing this as a side hustle. Some people are doing this full time. It says that these companies, like these Ubers and Lyfts, have been slowly increasing the average take. So they're taking more from the drivers. So the author of the book, Jonathan Rigsby, says that you have fuel costs, you have maintenance, insurance, wear and tear. You're forced to work long hours at odd times and to rely on bonuses, tips, and surge payments to earn a decent hourly wage. The uncertainty eats away at you. So he says that he could work 30 hours, he'll make over $700, but he spends most of the money on paying off the car repairs, making car payments, which he's putting on a credit card, of course, the gas, insurance, the wear and tear, the maintenance, the fuel costs, all that goes into this. And at the end of the day, there's hardly anything left over. So he said 1 week, or he made $250. By the time he paid for all the repairs and the fuel and the insurance, he walked away with $80. And of course, giving his cut to Uber, he walks away with $80. So, it sounds good, but this is what people are doing just to try and get by. And they're not walking away with very, very much money. And then on top of it, let's not forget, you got to give Uncle Sam his cut too. So you're paying Uber, Lyft, Uncle Sam. Fuel prices, by the way, oil up over is now up over $81 a barrel today. We're going to begin, I think we will see oil continue to accelerate this summer. Again, I see at some point this summer $90 oil. And so if you're working for Uber or Lyft, this is going to affect you a lot. But people are trying to make a dollar any which way they can, and it just seems harder and harder to do it, because taxes go up, these companies want more money, repair costs go up, fuel costs go up. And so it just leaves me to think, how in the world are people surviving? How are they stretching this out? I have no idea. And I have to think, a family of four, how in the world do they do it? When I look at food prices, the cost of going to a restaurant, if two people go out to have breakfast now, it's not uncommon to spend over $40 just to have a breakfast, which is just a complete ripoff. But out here, at least, I'm not sure where you live. You may live in New York, and that might be a bargain to you. You might live in Los Angeles. That's a bargain. Out here in the desert, it's not uncommon to go out and have breakfast. Two people, $40 plus. And you're not having a crab omelet. I don't know how people are doing it. I really, really don't. I mean, even some of these casual dining places now have gotten so expensive. A family of four to go into an Applebee's is going to be at least $100 with a tip. So again, I don't know how they're doing it. Fast food, it's all going up. I shake my head. I have no idea how people are doing this. I think with 827 million credit cards floating around in America, I think that gives me a pretty good idea how people are doing this. The amount of damage that they're doing to their credit, they're turning themselves into debt slaves, so dangerous. And there are some restaurants that are doing well, and I wonder how many people, when I look around, how many people in that restaurant are using a credit card and will not pay that credit card off by the end of the month? How many of those people are using a credit card and they're going to finance that dinner for the next 6 months or a year? Buy now, pay laters. Think about why you're seeing so many people use buy now, pay later plans, and why credit card debt is $1.13 trillion. And half of credit card users carry a balance month after month after month, 23% on the APR, 23% on average. This is extremely dangerous. People are getting themselves so deep into the hole. And when you begin to see the housing market really turn, and it will, It always does. And people begin to lose that wealth, that equity that they see on paper, like, oh, we're rich. We bought a house for $400,000. It's now worth $700,000. When they see that house lose a couple $100,000 in equity or go back to where they bought it, they're going to freak out. You know, I watch some of these people on these financial channels and I go, I wonder where they were back in 2007, 2008. They were probably in high school, maybe in college. They don't have the experience. They don't know what a collapse looks like. They don't understand how quick they happen. And they don't understand that usually the stock market is at all-time highs and roaring before it happens, and everybody's taken by surprise. You will not be taken by surprise. I will not. We are expecting a real big one to happen. That could be a year from now. Could be 10 days from now. Nobody knows. But this one is going to be epic. We have so many bubbles, so much debt, so much gambling going on in the stock market now, so many corporate buybacks, so many zombie companies. This is a disaster. But you know what? The best thing that could happen to all this is a collapse. We need things to come down. Things need to collapse. We need things to come back to reality. It is going to be extremely painful. It's going to be ugly for many, many years. But if we keep going at this rate, you're just going to bring in hyperinflation, and you're going to kill the country off in a different way. I would much rather we go into a super depression than go into hyperinflation, because once you go into hyperinflation, it's very, very difficult to ever come back. And if we go into a serious depression, which I think we're going to, it's going to be very hard to come back because we don't make or manufacture anything here. So again, they need to raise, they need to cut, they need to raise, they need to cut. Either way, we're in very, very big trouble. And so I think I'll give you a little advice today as I leave you. The first bit of advice is you better admit that we're in big trouble, that we have big financial trouble. Look at the debts, look at the deficits, look at the stock market, which is based on nothing other than the hopium that the Fed is going to cut rates and start printing money. That's all it's based on. Not a booming economy, not a booming job market, not a booming middle class, none of that. It's all hopium that they're going to cut rates and print a lot of money. And it's not going to benefit you, it will harm you. It will benefit Wall Street, at least for a while, but eventually it will strangle the entire country. So I think what you should do is admit. I mean, you cannot fix a problem, you cannot take action until you admit there's a problem. Admit that there's a problem. We have a huge financial problem. Also, now that you admit that, take action and prepare. Get out of the system, hold some tangible assets, get your debts paid off, add skill sets, know how to take care of yourself, be as self-sufficient as possible, walk as close to God as possible. These are all things you can be doing today. Get yourself in the best physical shape you've ever been in today. You can start this immediately. You're already behind if you're not doing this. Do it today. Learn how to defend yourself. Extremely important. These are all things you can begin to do today. The people who aren't doing this are going to lose. God bless. Be safe. As always, look forward to speaking to each and every one of you. Take care.